Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World, and in this video I'm going to talk about dupes for the blue element. As for the other elements, I'm going to give you guys a quick overview. I will tell you which units to prioritize, and then we'll go over each unit individually. So first, this element is in a really nice spot, it has great units, but it has two issues. The first one being most units are close range, and the second one being most units are single target. The first problem just means that overall you will need more investment and you will need to find ways to increase survivability on your units. Fortunately, most of the units will have ways to decrease damage taken or in general to survive a little bit longer, and we also have a good support. The second problem is more of an issue, like the fact that most units are single target. That will mean that you will have an harder time reaching the backline or just in general getting rid of all 5 enemies. We will have to address them one at a time. Fortunately, there are units that can target specific units, so that will be less of a problem. But still, you require quite a bit of investment also on that secondary unit so that it can get the job done. And that was pretty much all for the overview. Now let's go over the priorities. Here your first priority will be Khun Ran. He is your main DPS, he is close range and he is single target, but again he is really good at surviving due to his damage taken reduction, which really helps a lot. So definitely a great unit, and he has really nice scaling on his skills, so he can work quite well as a main DPS. Second in the list of priorities would be Blanc. She is definitely your best support in this element, and she can provide AoE heals and a single target buff to your team, which is really important in this team. The main problem is her special skill that targets the lowest HP percentage alive, which I don't really like, but still better than nothing. I might say you can stop at 3 red with her and prioritize the next unit I'm going to talk about now to get to full rainbow. But if you were to take her to full rainbow first, no issues. Don't refer to my units here to the right because you will see that my Khun Ran is at 1 rainbow and my Blanc is at full rainbow. That's only because since like the release of Novick, I kind of decided to go all in on the growth mission. Also because starting from Novick, we started receiving a lot more things for getting units to full rainbow. So that was definitely a nice incentive, and I decided to go for it. So unless the unit really suck, or I think is not going to be that valuable in adventure, I will pull the new units to full rainbow as well. And that's just slowing down my progress overall on Kurdan and the other units in the blue element. So that's the only reason why I ever at full rainbow first. But in a normal use case, I would say Khun Ran full rainbow first, then Blanc to 3 red. And then the next unit will be Blarode. That guy is the sub DPS that can target the enemy backline, so really important to get a lot of dupes of him, and I would prioritize his full rainbow over Blanc's full rainbow. So definitely Khun Ran full rainbow, Blanc 3 red, Blarode full rainbow, and then Blanc full rainbow. That's the order I would follow if I were to like pull for them all over again without the growth mission like feature in place. So yeah. And next, after these 3 units, I think there is really not much else to invest in for this element. You could go for Lero Ro. He is fine, he can provide the attack buff to all blue element allies, but other than that, there is really not much in this element. There are some units that could work, could be good, but we have no way of testing them since we have no ignition weapon system in the arena simulation, and I cannot be sure on whether they're good or not. But there is definitely potential in this element. So next we're going to talk about each unit individually. So here we start with Blanc. As I said before, the only problem is that her special skill targets the lowest HP ally, percentage ally, which I don't like, and it's not really something you have control over. I would say full rainbow is definitely nice so that she can target a more RNG character, because the later it is in the fight, the more likely she is to target Data Mascheny, which is not something I personally want to see. But obviously, if your Data Mascheny is invested, she's a good pick, and that's definitely really good. But I would say overall, getting the buff off earlier and having that a little bit more RNG, because early on you cannot be sure which unit is going to be low, but later on it's pretty guaranteed it's going to be Datamashini, because allies that are going near 1 HP are probably dead, and Khun Ran usually has more HP than Datamashini. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say about her. Her skills scale pretty well, so you will want to get her to 3 red, especially for the buff on her special skill, but also healing, etc. It has some nice scaling overall, so really good unit to take to 3 red, and also you don't have that many other options. You could stop at like 3 blue and then prioritize Blarode first. You could definitely do that. But yeah, I would still recommend just take her to 3 red, then you can forget her for a bit longer. Next we have Blarode, and that's also next in terms of priority. This guy is a DPS unit, is more of sub DPS, not a main DPS, but the logic is still the same. You want 3 red for the additional damage against the with elemental advantage. And you also want full rainbow, so I highly recommend getting it, because to get rid of the annoying unit that is going to pull towards himself, you will need the special skill. This is really a lot of damage, and if you don't have full rainbow, that unit is probably going to retaliate, attack you before you can kill it off, and your Blarode is probably going to be the one dead. So definitely something you will want to look for is the full rainbow Blarode. This guy is also good against bosses, so definitely worth the investment. Next we have the first SSR plus unit here. She's your tank, even though she's an assassin on paper, but she's your tank because she can survive at least 10, 11, 12 seconds with her invincibility. And she is great at zero dupes because that won't matter, like the scaling is not going to have any impact on her passive whatsoever. She's just going to get increased attack from her passive. So overall, you can have her at 0 dupes and she will work fine as a stall tank. And if you want, you can get her to 3 red, at which point she will also work as a DPS, which is nice. And I think I will start building towards her later on. Once I get also my VO up, I will probably go for Data Mascheny next. And I would even say Data Mascheny 3 red might be better than Urek 3 red, but I'm going to go into more detail about Urek when I talk about him. So definitely potential here. And you don't need for rainbow, you don't need for orange, because she's going to stay alive anyway. And for rainbow is probably not worth at that point if you're not getting that much value out of the 4 orange, because here you're just casting the special skill a little bit more quickly, but that's fine. She's also has a little bit of AoE damage, not too much, but still quite nice. So definitely worth the investment. But again, as I said for Endorsi, which is kind of similar, she works perfectly at 0 dupes. She can work better with dupes, I'm sure of it, but would still prioritize someone else over her. So that's about it about Data Mascheny. Next is Hatzling. This guy is basically the only ranged unit we have here in the blue element. So it could be good. I have not tested him with the L set, so I do not know. But he's a ranged unit, so he has low accuracy, and his kit would like to hit multiple times. So the more hits you get in, the easier it is to stack the combo hits, etc. So I don't know. This guy is definitely good and has potential, but not being able to test him like with ignition weapon and with a certain amount of dupes, I cannot say for certain. So if you guys have him duped up, please let me know. But yeah, I still feel he is worse than Khun Ran. He has a nice thing here in the special skill. He has invincibility frames, so that's definitely a plus. But in general, overall, I would say this guy is probably worse than Khun Ran, and I don't find him worth investing in. Next, we have the SSR tank for this element, and I would say is one of the two tanks that can actually work in this game, together with Ghost. Obviously, we're not including Karaka in because he's an SSR plus and he's a beast. But for the SSR tanks, this guy and Ghost are probably the only two that can actually survive. And he as well doesn't need too many copies. You can get away with 3 purple just because he relies a little bit on skills to survive a little longer. And especially his active 2 will change duration based on the level. So getting it to 14 seconds is definitely better than 8 and will boost his survivability a little bit. But everything else is pretty much not that relevant as for levels. Like the passive will decrease the enemy attack, we don't care. And here the barrier will just be a little bigger in the special move. We don't really care that much, like from level 4 and level 5 the change won't be much, so it's fine to stop at 3 purple for me. But then I would recommend for Rainbow as a next step for him, because he's not getting much value out of the skill levels, but he definitely gets value out of casting his special move earlier, because he will get some buffs from the exclusive equipment, but it will also start stacking the ignition weapon set a little bit quicker because of the provoke. And so yeah, it will mean additional resistances and it will increase the survivability quite a bit. So I would say for Rainbow is definitely nice. But that's it. I have no ways to test how much he actually tanks, so I will just say these for now, and we'll see later on if we'll have ways to test. I will go over him again, and I will tell you how important I think he is. Oh, one additional thing before I forget is that, okay, let's suppose this guy can actually tank. I doubt he's going to tank more than Data Mascheny, and also is not going to provide any additional damage, while Data Mascheny with a bit of investment can actually do. So I feel this guy is also losing his spot because of that. He cannot compare to Data Mascheny, but I don't know. If I'm wrong and he can actually survive more than 10 seconds at high deficits, then sure, he's viable. Otherwise, not really, just go for a 0 dupe Data Mascheny and you're better off. Then we have Khun Ran. This guy is your main DPS, so again, not much to say here. You want all the scaling you can get from his skills. You want to get the increase in damage against, like with elemental advantage. So sure, free red is mandatory, and you also like the full rainbow. Is the first unit you want to get to full rainbow, because then you can start killing people with this special move a lot more quickly, and that's definitely a plus. I won't spend any more time than this because main DPSs are pretty much all the same. They are a priority, and that's about it. Then we have Kurdan. This guy, again, could actually be good. I would like to test him in the arena simulation. I like his kit. I feel like he has the survivability with the passive, and he has damage and crowd control. I feel like he could be a great unit. But again, I don't want to invest resources on these kind of question mark units. So yeah, I will wait. I will try to write a post in the suggestion board on their site so that they can add ignition weapons in the arena simulation and I can test them more thoroughly. That being said, this guy has potential, he could work. In my opinion, he only needs like 3 purple to start showing some results, mainly because after you get this skill to level 4, you will have quite a bit of resistances that coupled with other things will take you to really high numbers. So I don't feel like you need too many skill levels. I don't think he's a main DPS. He could be a sub DPS at best, but he's more just dealing a little bit of damage and providing a lot of tankiness and crowd control. That's what it's good at. So I would definitely recommend, like, say, mandatory 3 purple, but recommended for orange for the increased survivability. Then we have Lero Ro. This guy is the other support for this element, and he has the elemental buff. So you definitely want to get him to 3 red for additional increases. You can also debuff enemies and decrease their defense, their swiftness. So overall, he is a good unit, but doesn't have too many supportive capabilities other than this. He's not going to shield your allies, he's not going to reduce the damage they take, he's not going to heal them. He's just going to debuff enemies and buff the attack of your allies. That's all. Which is still quite nice and is definitely worth as a like he is worth it as a 4th unit in your team, but yeah, you could even get away with not having him and you're still fine. Next we have Novick. This guy, I have him at full rainbow and I can tell you he sucks. He's one of those tanks that are not tanky at all, so I don't like him. I feel like with exclusive equipment maxed out, it could be somewhat useful for the decrease in attack it gets from the plus 30 exclusive equipment. So coupled with the full rainbow, we could get some value out of it. But the rest is really not that important because you need to build a lot of accuracy for him to be good, and that's going to be expensive, so you don't necessarily want to do that. So I would say this guy is not really that worth, but if we were to say, okay, let's build him, I would say 3 purple, very least. He already gets to 70% physical resistances with his ultimate, and already long enough silence and blind, I would call it. So still good enough, and I don't want to say he could survive because he really does. He really can't. He will die. So 3 purple is the bare minimum, but still not enough. Then again, full rainbow is good if you want to go with his exclusive equipment plus 30, but again, is not going to help that much. He's still going to explode. So I don't know. I don't recommend this guy overall, but I would say those are the 2 threshold I would go for. So 3 purple and full rainbow. Then we have Quaetro. This guy is a close range DPS again, and he has some AoE. Finally, is not as single target as all the others. Also, Kurdan has had some AoE, but he had lower like multipliers than this guy. So yeah, Quaetro, I don't know, is too squishy for me. He doesn't have survivability in his kit other than a stupid barrier. Let me see, it should be this one. Yeah, he has a stupid barrier and no damage resistances whatsoever. So he is going to die due to the fact that he's close range. So I would never recommend this guy. It doesn't have invincibility during his special skill. So again, is simply going to die. That's too bad because he had AoE damage, and it would have been a really good character, but he's not, unfortunately. So we can just ignore him. If you want to build him, 3 red again as mandatory, and full rainbow as recommended, as his special skill is actually quite good. Then we have Quant. This guy is again the usual niche character that's based on evasion, but whatever, we don't care about that for this video. So he is a DPS unit, and you want to get him to 3 red for the additional scaling. And definitely full rainbow is recommended because he's going to deal quite some damage with his special skill, especially when there is like 1 or 2 enemies at most. That's when his skill is the best. But other than that, I don't know. Really not worth it in my opinion. So yeah, I would like to try this one as well in Arena Simulation to see how it performs. But since his survivability is tied to the evasion, I don't really like it because as soon as he gets hit, he's dead. So yeah, strange. Next, we have Urek, and yeah, this guy, I can say I'm kind of disappointed a little bit because he's too squishy. He's really at the level of Novick, which is driving me insane. Like, um I will say that now that I have a Blanc for Rainbow, I find that she oftentimes will use her special skill on Urek, and when that happens, it's so annoying. Not because I don't want Urek to get the hold, because Urek will be targeted because it will be at 0 HP, but his casting is passive, and his passive is going to be uh, this one here. If Mazzino dies during combat, it deals attack to all enemies, paralyzing them for 2 seconds. To cast this, it takes like 1, 2, 3 seconds, and my Blanc, like a lot of times, will cast the special skill on this guy, which will take him from 0 HP to full HP, but he's already considered dead. So once he finishes casting the attack on all enemies and paralyze them, it will just go away. And that special skill is completely wasted, which is crazy to me, but that's fine. I think with 4 orange is definitely better than with 3 red that I have now. So I can tell you guys, at 3 red, this guy is pretty worthless. He's worse than Khun Ran. And I don't even have Khun Ran at full rainbow yet. So it's worse than a Khun Ran at 3 red. And that's unfortunate because survivability should be good for him. Like he has a lot of barriers. He's a really great unit, but with the fact that he just dies and the passive that works that way is crazy to me. Because he consider it dead, but then I can target him with heals. It's stupid, but whatever. So you will find it, like in a lot of cases, just being full HP, casting the AoE stun, and leaving. Crazy stupid. But okay, I'm digressing too much. Let's just talk about him overall. His skills are solid. You will definitely want him to get the 2-3 red because he gets a lot of value out of the percentages he has here in his kit. So really, really good. But I would say like here I put mandatory for 3 green, and definitely that's mandatory, but it's not usable yet. It's not usable even at 3 purple. And 3 red is probably the bare minimum, but I will stick with mandatory 3 green because it could do something at least in PvP. So that's already the first tier. If you have him at 3 red, he is really good in PvP. He is a really great unit, but he's not good in adventure. If you want him to be good in adventure, you will either need 4 orange or full rainbow. That's what I think about this guy. So I don't know. And Blanc does not help with his survivability because of what I just said. So she doesn't have damage reductions, which Urek Mazino is lacking at the moment. So I feel like before for Rainbow is a bit weak. Before for Orange as well. Maybe for Orange will help. I will try and get him to for Orange in the near future and let you guys know if anything changes. And at that point, I would probably change the recommended to for Orange if it really changes a lot. But yeah, so far that's my opinion on him, and take it with a grain of salt, but that should be pretty much it. I would say 3 red is still not optimal, so I do not recommend him. Okay, that being said, that was all for the blue element video. And yeah, I will be seeing you guys in the last one that will be about the green element. So thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please drop a like and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.